It is the first anniversary of the channel. Thank you all for the support and for being a part of this journey. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe to Nocturnal Nightmares Network. Here are 3 bone-chilling true stories of individuals who found themselves hopelessly trapped in caves, their lives hanging by a thread in the pitch-black depths below the earth. Prepare to be gripped by the terror that unfolds in these harrowing tales.
I hope you aren't claustrophobic.
In 1984, a tragic and mysterious event unfolded in the depths of the Sterkfontein Caves, located near Johannesburg, South Africa. This limestone cave system, renowned for its fossil-rich sediments and significant anthropological discoveries, became the scene of a fateful expedition that ended in the death of a Belgian cave diver named Peter Verhulsel. Sterkfontein Caves are part of the Cradle of Humankind, a UNESCO World Heritage Site famous for its paleontological treasures, including some of the oldest hominid fossils ever discovered. But beyond its scientific significance, the cave system also features extensive underground lakes and labyrinthine passages, some of which had not been fully explored or mapped in the early 1980s. In 1984, interest in the caves extended beyond academic research. A team of explorers, including highly skilled cave divers like Peter Verhulsel, embarked on an expedition to map and explore the unexplored chambers beneath Sterkfontein. While the upper caves had been well explored by anthropologists and archaeologists, the submerged passages presented both a challenge and a lure for adventurers and scientists alike. Little did they know that the caves harbored extreme dangers. Peter Verhulsel was a member of a cave diving expedition that sought to probe deeper into the underwater tunnels of the Sterkfontein system. This kind of diving is among the most dangerous, requiring advanced equipment and experience, as it involves long stretches where divers must navigate narrow, submerged corridors. Visibility is often poor, and the potential for disorientation is high, making cave diving perilous even for the most experienced divers. On this particular dive, Verhulsel and his team were attempting to reach an underground lake that had never been fully explored. The divers entered the water and followed a passage deep into the submerged part of the cave. However, something went catastrophically wrong during the dive. Verhulsel, separated from his team, became trapped in a narrow, winding section of the cave. He was unable to retrace his steps to safety. The exact circumstances of Peter Verhulsel's final moments remain murky, but accounts suggest that after becoming disoriented and separated from the others, he ran out of air. Cave divers carry limited oxygen, and in the complex web of the Sterkfontein cave system, any delay or wrong turn can quickly become fatal. Unable to surface, Verhulsel was trapped in the underwater cave system with no way to return. What makes this tragedy even more haunting is that Verhulsel reportedly survived for several days, trapped in a small air pocket in one of the submerged caverns. It was like an underground beach. While waiting for rescue, Verhulsel's companions searched frantically for him, but were unable to locate him in the underwater maze. By the time they found him, it was too late. He had died, likely from exhaustion, dehydration, or oxygen deprivation. An autopsy judged that he must have died of starvation after around 3 weeks, with little else he could do but stay in the cave and wait to see if he could be rescued. One thing he did do was leave a message in the sand for his wife and mother, as a message had been written in the ground besides his body, which read, "I love you, Sherlyn Ma." Attempts to retrieve Peter Verhulsel's body from the Sterkfontein caves were arduous and fraught with difficulty. The submerged tunnels posed an extreme challenge for divers, and even experienced rescue teams struggled with the complexities of the cave system. His body was eventually recovered, though the process was slow and dangerous for the divers involved. Peter Verhulsel's tragic fate served as a cautionary tale for future explorers and cave divers. For the Cradle of Humankind and the Sterkfontein Caves, the 1984 incident was a somber chapter in its long history of discovery and exploration. While the caves continued to be a focal point for archaeological and paleontological research, the memory of Verhulsel's death lingered as a reminder of the cave's dangerous and unpredictable nature. John Edward Jones's tragic accident in Utah's Nutty Putty Cave remains one of the most harrowing and heart-wrenching caving incidents in modern times. Nutty Putty Cave, located in Utah County, Utah, is a hydrothermal cave formed by the action of geothermal activity, It was first discovered in 1960 by Dale Green and soon became popular for spelunkers due to its tight twists and narrow passages. The cave features sections with names like the Birth Canal and the Maze, which give a sense of how claustrophobic and difficult the cave can be. The cave's clay-like walls are slick and soft, adding to the perilous nature of exploration, especially in its tighter sections. Its twisting tunnels make it an enticing but dangerous destination for both novice and experienced spelunkers. By the early 2000s, Nutty Putty Cave had gained a reputation for being tricky, and a number of rescue operations had already taken place due to individuals getting stuck in the cave's narrow crevices. As a result, the cave was temporarily closed in 2006, but it was reopened with tighter regulations in 2009, just months before the fateful accident that would claim John Jones's life. John Edward Jones, 26, was a medical student attending the University of Virginia at the time of the accident. Born in 1983, he grew up in a large family of caving enthusiasts, having explored caves in Utah as a child with his father and brother. However, despite his experience in his youth, John had not gone spelunking for several years before the incident. John was a devoted husband and father. He and his wife Emily had one child, a daughter named Lizzie, and Emily was pregnant with their second child when the accident occurred. John's commitment to his family and his faith as a devout member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints gave him a reputation as a kind, loving, and spiritual man. On the evening of November 24, 2009, just 2 days before Thanksgiving, John Jones, along with his brother Josh and several friends, decided to explore Nutty Putty Cave for a fun, adventurous activity. They saw it as an opportunity to bond and relive some childhood memories of caving. The group had only been in the cave for about an hour when John made the fateful decision to attempt navigating a section known as the Birth Canal, a particularly tight and treacherous passageway. The Birth Canal is a narrow, twisting tube that requires spelunkers to crawl through headfirst with little room to maneuver. John mistakenly thought he had found the Birth Canal, but instead, he ended up in an uncharted section of the cave. As he wriggled forward, his body became lodged in a small opening that was just 10 inches wide and 18 inches high. Not enough room for a grown man to turn around or shift his position. Worse still, John had entered the passage head first and was now trapped upside down, with his arms pinned beneath his chest and his body at a near vertical angle. In this position, his ability to breathe was severely compromised due to the pressure on his lungs and diaphragm. Once it became clear that John was stuck, his brother Josh immediately attempted to help him, but quickly realized that the situation was beyond him. Emergency services were contacted at around 9 p.m., and soon after, a team of expert rescuers, including members of Utah County Search and Rescue, arrived on the scene. For the next 27 hours, rescuers worked tirelessly to free John from the crevice. Their efforts were complicated by the narrowness of the passage, John's upside-down position, and the cave's slick, muddy conditions. Rescuers used ropes, pulleys, and even a power drill to attempt to widen the space around John. Despite their best efforts, they could only shift him slightly, never enough to pull him free. Throughout the ordeal, John remained conscious for much of the time, communicating with the rescue team and his family, who had gathered outside the cave. He displayed remarkable resilience and maintained hope, bolstered by his faith and his desire to be reunited with his family. One of the most emotional moments came when a rescuer was able to set up a system of ropes that lifted John several inches out of his tight position. However, in a cruel twist of fate, a pulley system used to shift his body malfunctioned, causing a rope to snap, and John fell back into the same, if not worse, position. As hours passed, the physical toll on John's body became increasingly apparent. Being stuck in an upside-down position for so long led to circulatory problems and eventually cardiac arrest due to the strain on his heart and lungs. By the evening of November 25, 2009, the rescue team determined that John had passed away while still trapped in the cave. The decision was made by officials to seal the cave permanently, with John's body remaining inside. This was due to both the extreme difficulty in recovering his remains and the dangers posed to anyone attempting to retrieve him. Nutty Putty Cave was officially closed, and in a gesture of respect, it was sealed with concrete to serve as John's final resting place. John Jones's death devastated his family, especially his wife, Emily, who was left to raise their 2 children alone. His passing also sent ripples through the caving community, which had long recognized the dangers of Nutty Putty Cave, but now faced the heartbreaking reality of its hazards. In the years since the accident, the story of John Jones has become a cautionary tale for spelunkers, emphasizing the importance of safety, preparation, and respecting the inherent risks of cave exploration. John's memory lives on in the hearts of his loved ones, and his tragic story continues to be shared as a reminder of both human determination and the unpredictable forces of nature. His legacy has inspired a sense of caution and respect for the limits of adventure in the natural world. The Nam Talu Cave flood in October 2007 was more than just a natural disaster. It was a personal tragedy that left a survivor haunted by the events for the rest of her life. Helena Carroll, a tourist on an adventurous trip to Thailand, was among those who entered the cave that day, unaware of the horrors awaiting her. Despite clear warnings from the locals about the impending danger due to monsoon rains, Helena, her boyfriend John Cullen, and 7 other tourists chose to enter the cave. What followed was a terrifying flood that claimed the lives of all but one, Helena. This is her harrowing story of survival, heartbreak, and the consequences of ignoring nature's warnings. In October 2007, Helena Carroll and her boyfriend John Cullen embarked on what was meant to be an adventurous exploration of Thailand's wilderness. They were part of a group of 9 tourists eager to explore Nam Talu Cave, one of the many attractions within Khao Sok National Park. The limestone cave, with its underground river system, was a thrilling prospect for those looking for an authentic, off-the-beaten-path experience. However, the trip fell during Thailand's monsoon season, a time when heavy rain frequently causes flash floods in the area. Local guides and villagers warned Helena and the other tourists about the dangers of entering the cave during this time. The rains had been relentless, and the cave's passages, normally navigable, could quickly become death traps when the water rose. If you go in, the locals cautioned, you will not return. Helena and John, like the others, were excited by the adventure and confident in their abilities. Perhaps the warning seemed exaggerated, or maybe the thrill of exploring such a unique environment clouded their judgment. Together with 7 other tourists, a mix of Europeans and their local guide, they set off into Nam Talu Cave, unaware that it would soon become a prison from which only one would emerge alive. As the group made their way deeper into the cave, they encountered what had made Nam Talu so popular: winding, water-filled passageways, jagged rock formations, and the eerie thrill of exploring in near darkness. But as they ventured further, the weather outside took a sudden turn for the worse. It was then that Helena and John first sensed something was wrong. A low rumble echoed through the cave's passages, a sound that quickly grew into a deafening roar. Behind them, the sound of rushing water surged through the cave. Flash flooding, triggered by the heavy rainfall outside, was upon them. Panic set in immediately. Helena recalled the terror as the group turned to see the water racing toward them. "John and I started climbing," she said later, her voice still heavy with the memory. In the chaos, everyone scrambled to find higher ground, but the force of the water was too powerful. The first thing we saw was the tour guide and the German boy being dragged away, then the Swiss couple and their 2 lovely girls. One by one, Helena watched helplessly as the others were swept away by the violent current. As the floodwaters rapidly filled the cave, Helena and John managed to scramble up to a ledge, just barely above the reach of the rushing water. It was pitch dark, and they could only hear the roar of the torrent beneath them as the flood swallowed everything in its path. For a moment, they thought they were safe, but the danger was far from over. John looked at Helena with grave determination. "If we stay here, we are going to die," he told her. They had no food, no way to communicate with the outside world, and no idea if help was coming. John believed he could swim for help, perhaps finding a way out through the raging waters and returning with rescuers. Helena didn't want him to go, but John was determined. He was a strong swimmer, and he believed he could save them both. "I'll be back," he promised. With one last look at the love of his life, John plunged into the water, hoping to navigate the deadly current and find a way to safety. Helena watched in horror as the water immediately overpowered him. John's strong strokes were no match for the speed and force of the flood. In a matter of moments, he was pulled away, disappearing into the darkness. Helena screamed for him, but the current had claimed him. Now alone, Helena clung to the ledge in the blackness of the cave. The roar of the water continued, unrelenting, as she sat paralyzed with fear. Time lost all meaning in the total darkness. She didn't know if John was alive or if the others had survived. All she could do was wait, helpless, as the hours dragged on. For 8 long hours, Helena remained on that ledge, soaked, freezing, and terrified. She replayed the events over and over in her mind. The sound of the water, the faces of the others as they were swept away, John's last moments. She could only hope that somehow, someone would come for her. It wasn't until daylight that rescuers finally reached Helena. By then, the floodwaters had begun to recede, allowing the rescue team to enter the cave. When they found her, she was physically exhausted and emotionally shattered. But she was alive, the only one who was. As she emerged from the cave, she was met with a scene of devastating loss. Outside on the grass, the bodies of her fellow tourists lay in wooden boxes. The flood had claimed all of them. Among them, Helena recognized John's body, lying next to the 2 Swiss girls who had perished alongside their parents. The man who had tried to save her, the love of her life, was gone. Only then did the full weight of what had happened hit her. She had survived, but at an unimaginable cost. 8 others, including John, had not been so lucky. The Nam Talu cave flood of October 2007 was not just a tragedy of nature, but a story of human error and misjudgment. Helena Carroll's survival is a testament to the unpredictability and danger of nature, especially in the face of ignored warnings. The decision to enter the cave despite the locals' advice proved fatal for all but one. For Helena, the ordeal left scars that would never fully heal. She had lost John and watched in horror as the others were claimed by the flood. The cave, once an exciting place of adventure, had become a tomb for the people she had traveled with. To this day, the memory of that night serves as a haunting reminder of the need to respect nature's power and heed the warnings of those who know it best. The Nam Talu cave disaster remains a story of love, loss, and the cruel indifference of the natural world.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoy our content, please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new horror story. Your support helps us create more spine-chilling content.